So what would the angel equivalent of an imp be? It's cherubs. Cherubs! I can't believe I didn't think of this. I'm so silly. They're small, they fly, and just like how imps try to corrupt people, cherubs try to redeem them. It's basically one-to-one, and I'm just silly for not thinking of them. And shout out to Marcus Darkstar and JPalo7733 for letting me steal their ideas. None of this is original. I am blatantly stealing from my viewers. Wait, does that make me a reaction channel? AA Arrow writes? To start this conversation about cherubs, first we need a stat block. Since I just made a whole video talking about how to make low-level angels, this should be easy. Okay, that's a bit different. Let's break it down. So first up, we took a creature, the imp, since that's the one-to-one that we're going with, and then we did the same thing that we did before where we changed around back-end mechanics. Name is different, creature type is different, alignment is different, all of those things. Then, in terms of giving it stat boosts, I really only had to change around the wisdom and the charisma score, since, well, it already had a 17 dexterity, and we're not looking to make something that can take a few hits. 10 hit points is fine. Now for the abilities. So we kept magic resistance, and I kept shape change? ? Basically, if you remember in my previous video, I talked about the idea of taking the imp's shape change, but changing around which creatures it was, so by and large, it's the exact same. Maybe a robin, a mouse, and a butterfly, although you could choose other creatures that it could shape change into. I removed invisibility entirely, and I mostly kept the sting the same and converted it to a baton. Since cherubs are going to be non-lethal, they're going to try and not kill people, so it makes sense that they would have a non-lethal weapon. And instead of dealing extra damage if the creature fails their saving throw, it will give them disadvantage on all attack rolls until the end of their next turn. Well, what does a cherub try to do? It tries to stop people from fighting. You get bonked on the head. And then you have the short bow, which, while it does deal some damage, it doesn't actually deal any radiant damage, and neither does the baton. That's because the cherub, yet again, is not trying to kill anyone, it's trying to stop people from fighting. That's why if it shoots you with its little Cupid's bow, then you have to make a save or you'll be charmed by it. And while charmed, you are unwilling to attack or damage any other creature. This should have the broad implication of nonviolence without actually forcing the hand of the player to do anything. I also didn't include the action to heal anyone, even though most other angels have that. That's because the cherub is supposed to be weak, it's supposed to be CR1, maybe CR1/2, so I don't want it to be able to cast miracles, save people's lives. It's more about trying to guide people along the path of righteousness. I also considered giving them different auras based on the paladin auras to communicate how they were divine emissaries. However, I opted to instead grant these to the angelic soldiers I made in my last video, which I think would be fair to bump them up a CR or two. The cool thing with this is that now you can run a combination of cherubs and soldiers that have a decent mix of tanky frontliners with ranged backliners. Also, a few comments pointed out that paladins and clerics are basically the foot soldiers of angels, so you could run an encounter of mortals who in the middle of battle summon a single cherub or soldier as a reward for their devotion, even if the party's only level 1 or 2. That could turn the tables of a fight, especially against a low-level party. And, of course, I didn't mention this in my last video, so I'll mention it here, but part of why I wanted low-level angels was so that players could summon them. I have my own homebrew rules about how to summon things like extraplanar aid, so if y'all are interested, I can make a video going over them. I can't wait to make myself look silly all over again.